Trekkies and Trekkers. Welcome to this amazing Star Trek podcast on Trek Tuesday. I'm your host Orinda, and together with my lovely co-host Amanda Hopper, we recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek, starting with Star Trek The Next Generation. All the episodes will be recapping chronicle following. We will also approach each episode with humor and a feminine look. Today's recap is of the episode Code of Honor. So, let me introduce you to my co-host Amanda. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, what's up?
Oh, everything is okay. How are you?
I'm good. Doing a little housework, like renovating.
Okay. Yeah, I saw you posting that on Twitter. So, this episode, we're talking about Code of Honor. First impressions.
It was an interesting episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Something to do with a vaccine, if I remember correctly, from the episode.
Yeah, it is. And I must say, it reminds me a little bit of in the time we are living now with the vaccines. And at this point, there was a plague on another planet. And when they were on this planet, they were looking for the vaccine that's only can be on that planet.
Yeah.
So it reminded me a little bit of our times where we are living now.
It was the Engalese virus, I think they called it.
I must say, as soon as I hit the play button and I saw the first scene, I was thinking, okay, this episode, a little bit funny. And I must say, I tweeted this a couple of times on Twitter, and I also tweeted like how beautiful Denise Cosby was in this episode, and she actually liked it, and she liked it, and I was like, oh yeah. But I must say, I have met her on Destination Star Trek in Birmingham, and she's very nice. She's very nice. Let's start at the beginning. The Enterprise is in orbit at that planet, and Lutan is coming on board on the Enterprise with the whole ceremony of their customs, etc., etc. And my first reaction of him, and it reminded me of some cultures here on Earth. They have a caste life, like if you are wealthy, then you have everything to say, and it doesn't matter how you get your wealth. The weird thing is, on that planet, the woman has the most assets and are the most wealthy,
revered.
If you can see. Yeah. So to the men who are thinking of themselves as like an alpha male and they act like that, I was thinking, dude, if you are coming across me, you will be smaller than you are right now. So
yeah, like they all acted like very macho, like they're tough and whatnot.
Yeah,
basically on the show. But Lutan, I think he was the one that was more higher up because he was more richer and whatever or something like that.
Yeah, but that was because of his wife, his first wife.
Yeah, Orinda. Sorry for the butchering of her name, but Orinda, something like that.
So when Lotan wanted to present the vaccine to Captain Picard, Lieutenant Yor stepped in, and she made a move that the second
didn't like.
Yeah, that they were so shocked that a woman would do that and act like that, and she was security.
She's head security, and they were shocked that it was a woman in position that was saying, "Oh hell no, honey, you're not going towards Picard. I have to see what's in there before I give it to him."
Yeah, and of course and that will be come on later as too, and later on you see Data some questions, and or Data explain something about the weapons on that planet, and Data thought he was it was some kind of a joke, and Picard, I must say, and I'm breaking myself off now, but I really, really love the Data that is in the first few seasons, because he still had to learn so much, especially about humor.
Yeah.
And we will get that later on in the episode, because I have a few notes about that. So, the welcome committee of the Enterprise is, of course, Captain Picard, Lieutenant JR, and the Counselor
Yeah, the
Troy.
council. Yeah.
And so, Captain Picard say, I would like to ask you for like some kind of a dinner and entertainment on our ship, to
Thank them for their life-giving vaccine or something like that. It was.
yeah, but also like talking about their cultures and their habits and that kind of things. And as soon as Lotan and his second man and his dedication being back, Lotan said, this I want Yar, because she is the thing that I just need right now. And it means that he wanted her here as his first wife, and because she is that strong, it would be like a challenge for his first wife now. It was not only as being the richest and wealthiest man on the planet, but also like I have two women who will fighting for me.
Yeah. Basically, that's what it was. Like, he already had one wife, but then he saw Yarn and he's like, holy crap, I gotta have her.
And
Basically, that's what he wanted her too. And then, of course, Urena was really, really PO'd with him about it. And really jealous too, because she wanted to take Yar on in a fight.
yeah, and in one way I can understand that, because it is all Lutan's manipulation. You also saw that his first wife was not only jealous on Yar, but she was thinking that Tasha was really in love with him.
Even though she wasn't in love with him.
There was a moment that Lutan and his second man was asking for a demonstration of defense training.
Holodeck.
Yeah, by Lieutenant Yar, and Lieutenant Yar demonstrated how it be, and that, well, they were also very surprised that they could have holograms, and they thought that were people with no soul.
Yeah. Like, he was like really shocked. He's like, you created this thing out of thin air or something like that, he said. And how you program a person with no soul or something like that, he said.
And so Lieutenant and his second man were very impressed, and there was also that moment that the second man wanted to try and demonstrate Yar that he is able to defeat that hologram, and instead he was floored by it, and he asked, apologizing to Lutan, that he wasn't strong enough.
Like, that poor guy was embarrassed that he got taken down by a hologram. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. I wasn't strong enough.
Well, I don't think it's maybe a little bit of embarrassing, but it's also their culture. You know, with
Yeah.
Lutan is the boss and the wealthiest man, so you listen to him and you give him your life, etc., etc. And so Lutan and his second joined Picard in his wedding room, and Picard gave Lutan a architectural porcelain horse, and he told him that it was from
China?
China? I thought it was China, yeah. And
Yeah, I think it's China.
from the 13th century and data of 14th century, and data, of course, um, told Picard
Corrected
it
him
was the
on the date.
13th. And well, Luton and the second were very entertained, and they were going back, beam down to the planet. And Luton, being a jerk, he wanted to thank Lieutenant Yar
Yeah.
personally, and so he hugged her, and that's the moment that Yar being kidnapped by Luton.
Yeah, it was a sneaky move that he did.
Yeah, well, at
He
the
wanted
end,
to hug her, and he's like, "Nope, you're mine now," he says.
but it's also, yeah, like I said, it's their culture, and Luton is very macho, and he thinks he is the king of the world, but I was a little surprised as well that Yar was in a way attracted to him. And this is not the first time that, well, we're just at episode 3 and she has already 2 lovers.
Well, Deanna says it to her when they're in that the bedroom on the planet. I think she's like saying something to Yara about her showing at least some attraction to him, and she's like, "Well, you know, Yara was. I mean, um, Deanna was kind of reading her mind there when she was in that room with her."
Picard is sending Luton a message of, what did you do? This is an active war, and you need to message me back, otherwise we will fire upon you. And then he went to his own work room, and Beverly came in, and she was when talking to him about the faction, and the faction couldn't be replicated because if they did that, the faction became unstable.
Yeah, it broke down every time they tried to. They tried to replicate it, is what you're saying, but it kept breaking down, like it was not stable enough, like you were saying. So
So it would be
yeah, like
in
they
danger for everyone. And meanwhile, they doing that, they getting the message of how many death there was and how the plague was evolving on that other planet. So the conclusion was only on the planet of Lutan they could get the vaccine for all the people there, but there will be a
yeah.
cost. I must say, this is one of the few times we see Beverly Crusher, Dr. Beverly Crusher, without a lab coat. And
Yeah.
that was a little weird for me. I don't know how it was for you, but
Usually she'd be in her lab coat, but there are some episodes, I think, if I remember correctly, she does not have her lab coat on.
Picard and Beverly discussing what they need to do, and then when Beverly wanted to walk away, she wanted to talk about Wesley with him. She said, well, as a mother, and I know also that how he would be good, and it will be good for him to learn from the officers on the bridge, and he really liked ops. Picard went back to the bridge, but Wesley was still in the turbo lift. And Wesley,
Yeah,
he called for Wesley, and Wesley said, well, Captain, I didn't step on your bridge, I'm still on the turbo lift.
and Riker's about to say, "Oh, sir, no, I'll get rid of him."
And Picard was like, no. Wesley stepped on the bridge and sit at orbs. And the whole bridge was looking at him if he was crazy.
Yeah, they're all like, "What? What?" And he's like, "Is everybody deaf here?" He's like, "Sit it ups, boy," or something like that. He said.
But I believe that Picard already had a soft spot for Wesley, because otherwise he wouldn't let him on the bridge.
No, he would not. He wouldn't let him on the bridge. Other unless,
Well, I
but
do think that Riker is doing that. Riker is keeping an eye on him, and I think also that Riker will report Picard of his doing in like school and of course like the science projects, etc.
yeah,
Because what
like,
Wesley of course doing is not many children can do that.
no, that kid, like I said before, he's smart. Like he knows a lot of the schematics of the ship
It seems like that
and
he I don't want to study
studies.
it, but he is very into it, yeah.
Like he studied the manuals and stuff. I think, if I remember correctly, they said,
So
and he,
Riker reported back in how what the customs are on that planet and what Luton did, etc., etc. And Riker told him that it was a like a counting coup, and with a counting coup, you will challenge somebody to fight only to get your point. It's like here in England when a gentleman duel a other gentleman, for example, for a woman's name or honor. In this case, the person will not harm, will not injure the person, but will kill the person. And the first wife will challenge Tasha for a fight to the death.
yeah, Urena challenged her the fight.
And finally, Picard get Lutan on screen, and Lutan was very demanding, and he was saying that Picard was demanding, but he did everything nothing wrong because it was their custom.
Yeah, like yeah, like he's. I guess Lutan was being patient with Picard, but Picard was being demanding at that point for him to answer his calls.
Yeah, and well, I think it's not. It's just like I said. Lutan is a macho, and he can't have it as someone undermined his territory or his demands. Did you notice, by the way, that Data's face in this episode is very shiny white?
I noticed that it's like sparkly, glittery,
Yeah,
and
and
shiny.
it's
Kind of
not
like
even yellowish. It's more like
whitish,
yeah,
like a pale
white.
vampire,
Yeah,
like a pale vampire. Which I'm like, okay, that's a little weird.
it was. I do must say I adore Data in this episode.
I know.
So Luton is asking for Picard to visit the planet, and
Yes.
we know how Riker um, is thinking about that. He doesn't want the captain do away team missions because if the captain dies, then the ship has more or less no captain. But
Diana.
Diana tells, well, in this case, if someone else will go, Luton will not accept that or will take this
Help
serious.
them. They yeah, like he'd rather have the captain go down there than someone else of other ranking because the captain is more important. He figures that he'd rather have him down there to deal with him and about the vaccine for the Angeles virus.
Yeah, and in one way you could say, yes, Picard, in the end of the last couple of seasons, will be more diplomat than he is in the beginning. But I also noticed that the whole body language and how Picard acted, it was a combi of finding himself as how he wanted to be as a captain. So it was a little bit of adventure seeking, curious about, of course, other planets and cultures. And we know he loves architecture, so this was a real opportunity for him to go off the ship, if I can say it like that.
Yeah, like go down as a, or the away team.
In that case, the away team was just being him and Counselor Troy, because Counselor Troy needed to advise him. There was and you could already see how much Riker and Picard were being friends, and they know each other in a way of work and professionally, I say, because Riker threats with a smile on his face with, well, Captain, if you are getting hurt here, I will report you.
Yeah, he's like, you'll have to answer to me, and I'll put you on report.
Yeah, and that was really funny.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah, you could already see what work relationship they have. And maybe it wasn't not even as friends, but yeah, as a working relationship. I do think that Riker is the right person to be second in command, because he deals with people, he deals with the children, but he's also the kind of a diplomat and representative of the Federation and the Enterprise.
Like, yeah, Riker, he's good with people, and he's got a great sense of command with people, too.
So, Picard and Troy visit the planet, and I really was feeling of, this can't be good. How are you going to put your own feelings? And of course, Picard and Troy were worried about Tasha, if she was treated right. And so Lutan disgraced Picard by saying, well, you can have Lieutenant Yara back on one condition. You need to ask her back in all of front of my people.
Oof, yeah. He's like, I'm making you beg in front of everyone in the courtyard to get Tasha back. It's kind of like a low blow to Picard's ego that he had to beg for Yara back.
Yeah, but also like, it's what he wanted he's gonna get. And although he wanted Tasha Yar as his first, I think also it's as kind of show the Federation in this of Starfleet in this point of, I'm the boss and not you. You have to do what I say. And in one point, Lieutenant says, well, honor is everything. And I was thinking, oof, first prime directive. So there are two cultures of two different, what you can say, like different species that is very different. And Lieutenant is organizing a banquet for Tasha Yar's return in publicly, because this was so. Yeah, it was really, well, like I said, it's no, you don't treat people like that.
No, Lieutenant. He was thinking, oh, I'm the big boy. I'm the big alpha male type attitude he had. That's what Lieutenant's attitude was like. He thought he was the big honcho.
That was also the point when the banquet was, when, and you can see now that Patrick Stewart is a theater man, because he performed like a person in the theater, and so it wasn't full of drama, full of quotes respect to Lieutenant, and then at the moment that Tasha Yar had to come back to Picard, Lieutenant says, no, you can't have her back. And you saw the looks between Picard and Yar, and Lieutenant said, I want her as my first wife. Oh, hell broke loose.
Yeah, because Urena, when she heard him say that, she's like, I challenge you to, I forget what the word was, super something. Sorry, people, but I can't get the name right. Something to do with a fight. I challenge you to a fight, but there was another word she used.
Yeah.
And one of the guys says there has not been a fight in over 100 years or so. There has not been a fight to the death.
it was like their customs, and it has been over 200 years that this
200 years.
challenge had done for the last time. But it's also like this was a challenge till the death. So one of them will be the victory.
Either Orinda would win or Lieutenant Yar would win.
But
Basic fight to the death between two girls.
yeah,
Women, I mean.
and
Battle.
it was also what Lutan wanted. Two women fighting over him.
Because when that happened, he was like, he just perked right up when Orinda said.
He was so enjoying it, and the whole fight
like,
he was enjoying.
Yeah, he was like, oh heck yeah, who's gonna win? You can just see the look on his face throughout the fight. He's like, oh, this is getting good. This is getting good. Who's gonna win?
Yeah, well, Picard has still one problem. He wanted to order Tasha Yar not to fight, but they still needed to have the vaccine. So Tasha Yar offered and said, I will fight for the vaccine. And Picard knew then that he was manipulated by Lutan. Lutan was talking to his second man, and
yeah, Picard could overhear them talking in the hall, and it was about if Orinda dies, he would get all her goods and property, and Yar along with it, which would make him richer.
So Picard was smart of himself and said, okay, now I'm going to give you a piece of your own cookie. I'm going to manipulate you. So he was talking into Lutan with pride, and he was saying, how do you say it, pleasing and sweet talking Lutan. He also said that he will order Tasha Yar to fight. And that was the first you could see how happy Lutan was.
Oh yeah, he had this dumb grin on his face when he said that. Like he's like, oh yeah,
I have the power. I have the power to do everyone what I say.
Like he would, like he's basically manipulating Picard and the others.
Yeah, he did, and that's what I'm saying. When Picard wanted the answers and when talking to Lutan, he sweet talked Lutan in that way that he was manipulating Lutan now.
So basically, he was just messing with him, and he was like, and it buttered Lutan right up when he was messing with him, and Lutan's ego, he's like, oh yeah, type attitude, and his ego just got hotter and hotter because of all this.
Yeah, and so he didn't see what was really happening. So
because Picard was kind of playing with him.
Yeah.
Like a cat and a mouse type deal.
And if we are going to the next scene was that Data was visiting Geordi, and Data see Geordi for the first time shaving.
Yeah. He's like, why are you using that one? Why not the one I fine-tuned for you or something like that? And Geordi's like, well, shaving is a bit of precision, my friend.
Yeah, it's a human art.
Yeah, it's a human art. Yeah.
And then Geordi, Data started to tell Geordi, well, I went to the holodeck and I was trying to, first Geordi asked Data how far he was with his, with his human studies. And so Data tells him, and he says, well, especially humor, I tried to learn. And he was telling Geordi jokes, and Geordi couldn't laugh about. He want to escape Data of it but the nice thing is you already see what kind of a friendship Geordi and Data have.
Yeah. Like they're pals, like they're tight. They're bros, basically.
And I remember one quote of Data. He was saying, I don't know what friendship is until I met Geordi LaForge.
Geordi. Yeah.
And I really love that quote. And you can see through whole Data's life, Geordi and he stay, like brothers.
Yeah, like they're basically brothers who hang around with each other quite a bit. They're if they went on the holodeck, they were always on the holodeck together doing like Sherlock Holmes stuff. Like they
That's
just chilled with each other.
yeah. And don't forget Data's of course an android, so it's
Well,
it's
yeah,
like it's like Jordy is teaching him human things.
yeah, teaching them about life basically. It's it's like Data is Geordi's adopted brother, basically.
Yeah, you can say that, yeah. In the next scene, Jordy and Data had called to go in a way mission again to the
The
planet.
planet.
Can Picard asked them to find as much as info about the Lagonian armament.
Yeah, the weapons and the armors that the two women are going to use to fight.
That was the point also that Picard knew and concluded Luton and his people live with a code of honor, and Picard has the prime directive. At that point, we also see a little bit of the true ways of the Betazoid. Diana is more or less feeling what Picard feels, and she said also to him, Captain, I'm your counselor, let me counsel you. In that way, I found her a little bit blunt, but maybe Picard needed it that at that moment.
Yeah, he seemed like he was a bit anxious at some points, I think. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you could say that.
And meanwhile, all this is happening. Riker on the Enterprise is very nervous because he didn't like
Hmm.
this at all.
He doesn't like the fact that Picard is down there on the planet.
Before the duel, Tasha and the first wife meet, and Tasha wants to tell her, well, I have the best training of Starfleet, and I'm a security officer, and I don't want to harm you. The first wife saying, well, don't be that for sure. We get training here, and although it has not used for a long time, I will kill you.
Yeah, then yours like, Urena, I'm not even interested in your husband, she told her.
Yeah, and
And Urena's like, what? I forget what it was Urena said, but she said something along the lines of, you, but you do, something about how Yar might actually be interested in him or something like that.
yeah, she thinks that Yara loved him because everyone loves
Yeah,
Luton.
loves
And
him.
but Tasha said, "I am not interested in your husband, but I will
I
fight
am a
for the.
Starfleet.
I'm
She's
a
like, I'm a
Starfleet
career
officer."
Starfleet woman, basically, is what she said.
Yeah, and but she said, "I will fight for the faction."
Yeah.
But you already could see how Irina hated Tasha, and the
Yeah,
the conversation ended badly.
like Yar didn't even want to fight her, and but Urena wanted to do it because she didn't want Yar to have him.
Yeah,
She wanted him to herself, basically.
and not only that, I think it is also like it's in her higher public side is that if she wins, she will be have more power in their culture. Picard, Troy, and Tasha were talking in her room, and um, well, Tasha told them, well, she really loves him, and she really gonna fight to the death. And then Data and Jodie reports back about the weapons, and they say it's flexible, durable, and deadly. It even so deadly that um, it is light for women to handle, and some of the weapons are still blood on and poison.
Yeah, it's like they're saying the weapons were basically made for the women.
Yeah, and I don't
And
also what I got the impression a little bit of is that the women are much stronger than the men over there.
mm, like the men, if the women challenge each other with a fight to the death, it's basically the men are like, oh goody, we get to see two women fight to the death for the man, basically. And the weapons that they were talking about made for women. So yeah, it's
Tasha
weird.
tell them too that Yorina really loves him. Data was very curious, and it was so sweet. It was so cute of Data, how Data reacted. Um, and Data was very curious and asked, well, do you love him, Yar? Tasha was acting like, no, 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 what you think, good Data? That is impossible. So that's really, I really love about Data. Data is really so curious about human that he observed every human that he encountered, especially his friends and colleagues.
Yeah, he is very curious about things, and he's always learning something new every time.
Well, if you guys have seen Star Trek Picard and how Data ended up a second time, you could see that he has evolved and that he
Mm.
ended up being like a old man who really uh, is coming to his end. But I really, I always have loved the character Data, but
Yeah, everyone loves that guy.
and like I said, that's I think his curiosity is so innocent in a way that it's just adorable. Um, the next scene is that one of the second man of Luton is bringing Tasha's weapons that
Weapon.
she can choose.
Yeah, they're like a glove, and they're spiked. And there's 4 boxes, and they're all the same thing. They're the same glove. It's from small hands to great big hand. So so Yar has to choose which is the right one for her, and she has to be careful while looking at them because the spiked tips are poisoned.
And they also see the first wife practicing in
Yeah.
the battle area, and she sees what weapon she's gonna use. Data went back to the Enterprise for a secret meeting with Riker and Dr. Crusher in the transporter
Mm.
room because Captain Picard didn't want them to be overheard.
Talking.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they see how or what, and they manage to have a plan to rescue Yar from
Hmm.
Luton. So the challenge begin. That was a little bit point that I was thinking of. Wow, Denise Crosby really looks good.
Oh, yeah.
So I tweeted that, and she liked my tweet of her calling beautiful, and yeah, it's just like I said.
Yes, I saw that.
Denise Crosby is really a really nice person, and guys, for the listeners who haven't listened to, for example, Orinda Talks Fantasy and Sci-Fi before, because I already have mentioned it a couple of times, I want you to take a listen to the podcast of Gates McFladden and the Delta Flyers with Tom Paris and Harry Kim. But in this way, I wanted to tell you about the one of Gates McFladden's, because Gates McFladden's also have interviewed Denise Crosby, and that was one of the greatest interviews with Denise Crosby ever. So just go to Spotify, look for Gates McFadden, her podcast called Investigated, and it's really good. But that's also because we came on to Denise Crosby and Tasha Yar, of course. So the challenge begins, and for me, because I know a little bit of martial arts, that whole fight was really weird for me. there was a point that Urina's glove with the poison spikes
It
fell
fell
down.
off. Like,
Yeah, and it was in the lap of one of the person in the audience.
yeah, it was a
And he
young
wanted
man
to,
in the audience.
yeah,
And like, I think what happened was her arm hit the pole of the ring, and it was electric.
yeah,
And her arm swung forward, and the glove landed on not just his lap; it hit him in the stomach area, and it poisoned him,
yeah,
and it killed him. So you know it was deadly serious when it happened to a audience member.
yeah. And when that happened, the second man of Luton called out to Urina and told her to be
Yeah,
careful.
yeah. Like he's like,
He
Urina, be
had feelings
careful.
for
Like
him, yeah.
then you're thinking, somebody there next to Lutan has basically the hots for his wife. Like
In
he basically wanted her.
and in that culture, it's normal to have more wives, or the wife have more husbands, like the
Yeah.
Denobians. You
Oh, okay.
didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that about the Denoblians. I gotta keep watching Enterprise more.
Yeah, Flux has more wives, and his wife has also more husbands.
Ah, go figure.
You never seen
Okay.
that? Yeah, you could really see that Lotan is really enjoying the fight, but
Hmm.
just because two women are fighting over him,
Oh yeah.
and
He's like just sitting there in his chair and he leans forward during the fight. He's like, "Oh yeah, these two are fighting. I'm really interested in who's gonna win. Is it gonna be
mhm,
Arena or is it gonna be her?"
there was a point that Tasha was hitting Urina. Everyone was shocked because they thought Urina will win, but
Yeah.
Tasha was covering Urina fast, and so they ported her on the Enterprise. And there was one thing very strange. What I thought, when you are transported, you can't feel anything. But Tasha said right away, "It is no use. She is already cold. She is already dead."
Yeah. She said she felt the life slip from her or something like that.
Now it was Urina who has been kidnapped by the Enterprise. Picard was the tricky one now and told Riker
Luton.
five to beam up, and you saw Luton and the second man look for what the hell's going on here, and they were beamed up.
Basically
So
being kidnapped against their will.
yeah. So they got their own cookie of their own dough. What happened next was that Picard brought them to the ready room, and there Luton saw that his wife is still alive. And he
Yeah.
said,
Like he's like, she's alive? And he's like, there'll be no treaty, no vaccine, he tried to say. Then Urena pulled this out on him by saying, yeah, you're not my husband anymore. What? Yeah, his second one there ended up being her husband. And he
yeah.
ended up being downgraded
And
to
then,
under ranking.
yeah, he couldn't believe it because he was only greedy and wanted only power.
Well, it blew
And
up on them in the end. He lost his position, he lost his power. The
he lost
second one that was
everything.
beside him, yeah, the guy beside him ended up getting his property and stuff and ended up being the powerful one. And then Irina said to Yer, she's like, "You want him?" And Yer's like, "Nah,
Nah.
nah. Homeboy ain't popular anymore. He ain't rich. I don't want him."
And then Urina said, "Good, then you will be my second husband." And I was thinking,
Yeah.
"You go, girl. Let him feel what you're feeling."
So she took the necklace off of Lutan and put it on the other guy.
Yeah.
A little red necklace there, and its power shifted from the big guy to the other guy.
Yeah. Lutan.
And yours like, "Oh, you must be so embarrassed to lose your position," type thing. She said.
Yeah.
and
And then
and
he,
Luton just stood there.
but he also begged Tasha to become his first wife. And
Mm.
Tasha was saying, or thinking, "Are you damn out of your mind?" And it's not that he isn't rich anymore, or have much power there. It's just how he becomes so stupid and acting like a macho, and
Mm.
he thinks women want him like that.
Well, his attitude and his machoism blew up in the end on him. He
Yep.
lost his head position of the first one, and he ended up being number 2 in the totem pole,
Yeah.
basically.
We have ended with all my notes I got. So we are at the end of this episode. Is there something you'd like to add?
Well, like with Angley's virus, it kind of reminds you of this whole craziness we got going on around here,
Yeah, that was.
and the COVID virus and the whole vaccine deal too.
Yeah, that reminded of me too. So, uh, when in the beginning of the episode, I was really thinking and feeling of wow, how much is that to date for now
Mm.
at this moment?
Yeah, it's like, holy crap, it's kind of mirroring what we got going on, except theirs is the Angeles virus, ours is the COVID. And they're trying to get a vaccine, which I'm sure they did get it in the end, and we got ours. Yeah, like I got my vaccine shots done, and then of course, well,
There's only one thing we still need to do, and that is rating this episode. What do you want to rate it?
well, I went first last time. You go first.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna play back and forth that way.
I will give it a 7.5.
Say around an 8.
Okay.
It was a pretty good episode.
Yeah, in one way it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, a nice episode. Let me see what the next episode is. Next episode is the last outpost.
Oh yeah, I think that's the one with the Ferengis. I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
That's the first time we see Ferengis in TNG.
Yes, but that won't be the last of those guys either. Oh, I used to be called Ferengi in high school.
Well, my fiance was a Ferengi in his former life because he loved Umax.
Well,
Yeah.
and I called my gym teacher Vulcan. So we did that for years, and we're still for the past 20 years we've been still doing that.
Oh, that's great.
He's like, hello Ferengi. I'm like, hello Vulcan.
So he's also like a Star Trek fanish.
Well, he might be. I'm not sure, but it's just some name he gave to me over 20 plus years ago.
Mm.
And to this day, it's still going on. I just call him that because he had pointy ears. I think with me, it's because of my crooked teeth. Well, whatever.
Well, as long as it isn't like a bullying thing, then it's okay, I guess.
Well, we were just being we were weird back then, and we still are today.
So well, Amanda, thank you again. It was nice talking to you again, especially about this episode.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, same here.
And we will speak to each other in 2 weeks.
Yep. And what date would that be? October, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Hold on. Well, first, I like to end with live long and prosper.
Oh, live long and prosper.
Thank you for listening, and join us in 2 weeks with a new episode recap. The episode we're talking about is The Last Outpost. You can listen, follow, and subscribe on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, the Facebook channel, and YouTube channel of Girls Talking Trek. If you'd like to join us and talk with us about the episode, what we have watched, or just the episode we are making, You can do that on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook group, and All Girls Talking Trek. We will see you in 2 weeks. Live long and prosper.